towards town, east. And then I'm going to be turning left on Closson Street, where I sold a place a long time ago. It was one of my first sales ever, I think. It was cool. It was a fourplex. I don't know how I pulled that off, because back then I was a little green still. But I did it nevertheless, and my people still own it, and they're pretty psyched, because it's like 3 long-term rental units and 1 short-term. So it's very unusual to find something like that. In fact, this is it right here on the left-hand side with the blue. Yeah, so it's got a couple parking spots. A, B, C, and D, 4 units. Can't remember which one is which exactly. And then it's got this little extra storage thing here. A few more parking areas for B, C, and D. And then that's it. It's a cool little spot right near downtown. So it's really ended up being a good investment for them. But where I'm going is right around the corner on Don Felix. And this is it. I'm just gonna park in the driveway, because why not? Let me get situated here and I'll give you the tour. Okay, so Don Felix, which is, by the way, a nice wide street, and there's parking, but it's all residentially zoned. So if you live here, you get a parking permit from the city, and you can park here all the time, which also means that people that don't live here, they need a permit and or guest parking. So you usually get a couple of guest parking passes when you're here too. This place is really the whole package. I'm really loving just about everything about it. It's got great landscaping, great yard spaces. It's finished out real nice. The interior is nice. Good appliances, radon mitigation system. There's a nice looking shed. All the windows have been updated along the way, but they look old, which is great. I was a little bit tricked there for a while, but I think I figured it out. They are all modern insulated windows, but they look old. They probably look exactly like they did when this was built back in 1920 or 1930. It's a little bit unclear what the year built is, but Assessor has it as 30, I think. MLS has it as 20. So, you know, it's around in there. So you have a nice gate from the front coming up to the front door. Flagstone here, and that's this really cool rock inlay sort of deal. I'm sure that came out in the pictures. But just nice artistic. Oh, look, Santa Fe BG Garden Tour 2010. Santa Fe Botanical Garden on the Botanical Garden Tour. So that tells you 2010, that's 15 years ago. So this landscaping is way more mature than it was back then. Those are aspens there. There's a beautiful apple tree here, and I'll show you more when we go in the back. A couple of rose bushes, fully fenced, nice latias all the way around. There's one gate that goes that side, one gate on the other side. A couple of pignons up front. So it's real private from the road, but it's also not blocked off too. If you get what I'm kind of saying on that. The stucco looks great. Exterior paint, everything looks good. I don't see any problems. Maybe a few minor things here and there. The roof looks that like maybe it's foam. I don't know. Couldn't tell from the aerial, but we could look around and ask about that. Some cool details here though. You could see that there's some old like carved in the lintels maybe. And then these are where the original screens used to hang. Now, of course, they're newer and modern, but those windows definitely are exact replicas of what used to be there. And then the front door with a B, and it's got this cool scallop carving on it. Just take a minute to admire that. It's gorgeous. And a nice lintel over above. Actually, this is kind of what that other side is that I'm looking at. It's just like markings from when they hand aged that or aged it out to kind of settle it down. And then that was just painted over, but this is the unpainted version of that. There are some dark stained vigas out here and just a cool little front porch, you know? I was just gonna hang out, sit down. It's probably an old church pew, I'm guessing. You got your reisters hanging up. It's very well done. I wonder if they use this as a rental. I'm kind of getting that vibe, but I don't know. Maybe it's staged, maybe not. I would say the furniture and the art are a little bit heavy in here. And it makes it feel a little bit darker. The pictures from the previous listing, the furniture that they had was much lighter pine and stuff, and I feel like it was a better fit. It's just because you've got these dark cove ceilings up here. By the way, all the lights are on right now. There are some skylights. All of the walls in this part of the house are plaster, but when we move back into the back bedroom, it turns into like this rough finish, but also real pretty too. There are some baseboards that they worked around. Those are probably the original baseboards that they kept before they plastered the walls. You can see them over there too. There's mini splits abound everywhere, so they did a good job on that. You're always gonna have good cooling. And then the heat are these radiator kind of base, but they're newer versions of it. I wouldn't have a guess as to how old those are, but they're definitely not, vintage by any means. And maybe what it was is that they had some, hot water baseboard, some version of that. So maybe it used to be a fireplace, but they converted it to this little guy here, which probably is wood burning. I didn't check this before, but yeah, it's full of paper right now. And then you have your implements there. So is it pellet? No, it's not pellet. That's a wood burner there. So man, you get that cranking up. This place is gonna be toasty warm. There's a little mantle above, so it's perfect for putting the TV on. And then you got a window to the front, which I was just at. You got a window to the side yard. Going out here, some French doors to the patio. And there is a water feature out there. I'll check that out in a minute. And then a dining room area. Six-seater there. Going into the kitchen that way, going into the 2 bathrooms that way with a door. Let's go check out this front office, which could also be a guest room. Or maybe it is the guest room. Yeah, this is the second bedroom / guest room, but it's set up as an office. Yeah, I don't know. Is this a rental or what? A short-termer? Curious. A little bit different take on the Vigas in here. They're not finished, but they're still dark. Again, the hard trowel plaster walls, the painted lentils, the newer windows, a couple of nichos, but with nothing in them. And then you've got your mini split again. So there's no closet in here. It's the only main thing that kind of lends itself to saying that this is an office, but for sure it could be the guest bedroom too. This door is awesome. It's got these carvings in it. Neat. And it's similar interior door around here, except for this one. Wait a minute, is that one through? See-through too? No, that one has a block on the back, but this door, the carvings go all the way through, so it's like a little hole carvings. It's nice. Nice woodwork. So now we go into this more, it's almost like a stucco looking kind of finish in here. Okay, this is your powder room, which is nice because most of the 2 bedrooms that I've been looking at lately have been 1 bathroom. So it's great to have that extra guest bathroom right there. This has a pocket door on it. It's probably not from the 1940s, but in any case, they did a good job with that. Single sink. There's a kind of a cool little backsplash with maybe a piece of granite or something. And then it's very simple, tasteful though. There's an alarm. Looks a little bit on the old side, but. And then this is the primary bedroom, which has this double swinging door to close here. I'll step back to show you what that looks like. And of course, that's the bedroom in there. Big tub. Also a shower. Single sink, kind of with a similar treatment on the backsplash. Similar, there we go. That's nice. It's a good light. Big skylight here, okay? Nice. Heater. Here's your toilet, towel rack. A small window there. They've got the blind down there. It's perfectly good looking tub and shower. It's not death defying to get in and out of this. I'm not quite sure who would take a tub, and that huge of a tub, that's a lot of water. It's gonna take forever for that to heat up. I'm not sure what that is either. Could be maybe radiant in floor, electric in floor. You see that sometimes in bathrooms. Let's move on. So this is the primary bedroom. It's a good size, probably 12 by 12. Different Vigas in here, a little bit lighter blonde, white blonde kind of. There's a few cracks I'm seeing in the plaster walls up there, which could be fixed. That's definitely like a faux finish job for a guy to do, and I know a guy that can do that. There's another one there. I don't think it indicates anything structural, but just like, you know, after a while, just the plaster loses its moisture content so significantly that it will start cracking. That's a rather large hutch right there, considering that this whole room back here is essentially your walk-in closet. They're calling it sort of a dressing room, but you'll see it in a minute. That is a queen-size bed. You could probably fit a king here, depending on what you're going to be using for your end tables, right? That's a pretty basic small end table. It's a little bit different, but cool on this side. It's funky. Then they have this little bench thing here. It's cool too. You know, you could rework this a little bit. And then you've got this kind of changing room / closet, which has built-ins. Okay. This is really why it's telling me this is set up as a Airbnb. You know, it doesn't seem like a long-term kind of feel if you're going to be staying here, but perfectly fine if you're going to be here for a week or a month or whatever. Oh, somebody's clothes are actually in there, so maybe not. Now, this is fun. They did mention in the description that there's a basement, which there is. Boom, there it is. Whew. It's a little intimidating at first. Hopefully I don't kill myself, but I do need to show you this. Because number one, there's really not that many basements in Santa Fe. This one's not too bad. They do have a drain area here with it's like a dry well. And there's a sump pump down there. So in case water ever got in here and flooded, it would all go down into that drain. And then you would need to hook up a hose and plug in that sump pump to pump it out. So it wouldn't be a complete disaster. So somebody was thinking ahead a little bit on that. This is stuff for the alarm. I guess that's why they have it all down here. Showing some water lines going around here that are insulated. I think that's water lines. That could be related to the heating system too. Maybe those are lines for some of those, for those radiators. I think that's what I'm gonna convince myself of here in a second. E-PEX, X-PEX. So it is PEX, that's good. And then they have a pretty significant water softener setup here too. This is on city water. Let me just double check that. But there's a whole house filtration system with a deep 3-phase filter. There's probably also a softener on it at that point there. And then whatever that thing does. So pretty significant amount of filtering going on city water. And then back here, it's gonna be a little tough to show. It just goes back around a little ways, so you've got more storage down here for just throwing junk or whatever. There's a lot of stuff down here, so maybe somebody lives here. I don't know. There's a window that used to be like a basement window well that's covered on that side, and there's another one on that side that's also covered from the outside. I'm gonna go ahead and switch this light off and head back up. Took me like 15 minutes just to find the light. Okay, and then you lower it down, and then it's your closet again. Boom. Boom. Just like that. Not bad. And then there's no door here, but they have just little curtains. So let's see, what does it look like? Yeah, it's fine. It's great. Love it. Well thought out. Whoever did all this did a really good job. I'll be going out there in a minute. Head into the kitchen. Lovely kitchen. You've got a movable island in the middle with 2 bench seats, a cooked professional refrigerator, Sonos, which may or may not come with the house, and then a rather huge wall heater in here. I don't know why they went so giant on the radiator setup, but there is another mini split and this really cool custom, maybe antique shelf. It's attached, so in my mind that whole shelving comes with the house. Then you've got this kind of like end prep table and a rather good looking 6-burner stove that's gas, and it's blue something. I can't really exactly read it, but man, this thing looks brand new. I don't even know that anyone's ever cooked on that. You have a KitchenAid hood that's actually a real hood. Thank you again, whoever redid this house. They definitely went to some lengths to put that in. My guess is there never was a hood here to begin with. You've got some more traditional, like older school Santa Fe tile work. It's really simple, but really just pretty with the pairs. Just a few pairs, not too many pairs. And then nice wood butcher block counters. And then you've got your farm sink, which everyone's kind of used to seeing by now, but this looks really nice. It's elegant, it's simple, it's big. It's not super deep, but it's as deep probably as they could have got. And then you're looking out over this nice serene garden area with a nice water feature. And I can already tell you that the birds are out there just loving it, flying around. And then you got a nice dishwasher here, a fair number of upper cabinets that these could be original, maybe with some new pulls on them. I mean, I'm getting a 30s, 40s vibe out of this in a way. Oops, let's see. That's a tough drawer to get into because of the dishwasher. I really feel like these are original cabinets. Kind of makes sense. There's a little bit of a niche out there for some fun things that you want to put up. All in all, really good sized kitchen. You could entertain in here and chit chat. You could be cooking. You could have somebody helping you cook. It's really got a good presentation. A nice skylight there, so there's always going to be some natural light flowing in here. I'm seeing one crack right here that could be related to the skylight. Maybe a little bit of a repair that's been done there. Take a look at all that. I'm not too concerned about it. Skylights are usually one of the first places you'll ever find a leak. And the floors in here are really nice too, by the way. Similar to the living room, except for a little bit of a wider plank. So maybe this was a room that was added on a little bit later. And then going out the back door, which is now sort of a mudroom / utility room, we switch over to this black tile that's cool. And there's some of these divided light, not divided, whatever that light window is, lets light in, but you can't see in it. A little bench there. And then this is a whole really nice utility room. You've got some storage doodads here, put your cleaning supplies. It could be kind of a pantry area, maybe two. Full-size washer and dryer, a nice workbench area here, some cabinets above. I mean, this is just really well done. I mean, really well done. And then more cabinets, and a work sink here. These are different windows because they're these kinds that like open like that. Okay. Old school, but these have been replaced. These are insulated windows. And they're nice. That one has some boogies on it, but I think that's not indicative of the window at all. It's just a little bit of a mess thing. Nice back door. It's not, old or original, but it's solid. So let's walk around a little bit. Canale, metal lined, no worries there. Also has a downspout which goes underground, which who knows where that goes. Maybe there's a water catchment system. There's also a drain here. So if you know me in my videos, I'm always looking to see what's going on with the drainage, and somebody did a heck of a good job on that part. There is an old solar hot water module up there. Whether that works or not, I don't know. But this is just a nice, comfortable area back here, and it's private. You have neighbors, but everything's private, It feels nice. There's a butterfly bush. There's a cool Japanese maple. Just some little sitting areas. There's your little alien guy. And then another fence here, which is open, by the way, because I opened it. And then you've got a little bit of mechanical stuff over here. Your Xfinity line coming in. Your electric meter, which, by the way, the electric meter, P&M guys still have to come in your yard to read that meter. So it's good that this is kind of blocked off for a little bit extra privacy back there. Behind this fence is for the mini split. It's the condenser for the mini split. This is a historic thing. They basically will make you try to hide that as good as you can. They did a good job on it. You can't really see it unless you're in the house or standing right here. Some of those lines could be re-insulated. That's not a huge deal, but for sure that's going to come out in an inspection report. Here's your control box, your control valves for the irrigation, and then your gas meter. Here's the electric, which, by the way, I didn't look inside. It's got 100 amp service, but they already fit that. That's the mini splits. They needed the 50 amp right there. Washer and dryer on that 30, the range oven on that 30. It's maxed. You can't add anything else to this, but you don't need to add anything else to this except maybe if you wanted to put a hot tub. That would be the only thing I can think of that would require you to go back and redo that panel. So I don't know if it's going to be worth it or not, honestly. Here's your irrigation timer box. This is your radon mitigation system. So another problem solved. Don't need to worry about that. This is cool. I have no idea what it is, but I'm not going to touch it. Some other things too. That's related to the radon. And then you've got this shed here, which I don't have a key to, but throw your bikes in there, throw whatever else. Nice place to hide the trash cans. And then on the other side of this gate goes out to the parking lot. 2 off-street parking spots. So we're almost done. Let's go around the other side of the house. Again, it's fully fenced. Man, that's old, and I'm pretty sure these are grapes. Yeah, look at that. Here they come. Not quite there yet, but you got grapes. Grapes. You got a little bit of firewood there for that little stove. You're gonna need really small firewood though for it. This is the kind of stuff that's perfect. That's what you need. 12-incher. I can see why they would have been on the botanical garden tour for this place. There's another grape. There's another grape. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 grapevines all the way along here. They look pretty good, but maybe they just needed some more water or something. And these are all viney vines, not the silver lace. So these are not terribly invasive, but you will. The thing is about these is that they start to turn red in the fall. So they actually change colors, which is cool because you definitely, like, this is, what is this? Is it Virginia Creeper, maybe? Can't think of it. You can see there's tinges of yellow in all those trees there. Like, it's such a nice time of year right now. It's the best time of year, actually. 73 degrees out. So fully secured, fully private, nice beds. You know, there's a lot planted here, but there's also not a lot of maintenance that's required. You know, if it were me and this was my rental, I would probably have my guys over here, you know, maybe once a month would be enough, just to make sure the like weeds like that, you know, there's not a lot of them. Make sure the elms aren't popping up. I actually found an elm in the front right when I got here, and I pulled that for them because that's how I am, me and elms. That's the other would have been formerly a crawl space access or the basement access. Sign of the windows. That's a grill of some kind. They've got a smoker out here and another cool, like, that's a heater, I think, like a patio heater. It's a huge pot. A little bed of flowers here. Another nice tree with a crab apple. This is a cool little sitting area over here. I'm just gonna sit down, take in this. You know, we're right downtown practically. It's just quiet and calm. I mean, you can hear some road noise for sure. There's no doubt. But man, it's just getting a good vibe here, people. That water feature really helps. I was trying to figure this out from the pictures. This is an old apricot tree. Probably was planted when the house was built, 1920 or 1930. It's had rougher days, you can see, but they've kind of left it as this cool sculpture. It's like this origami kind of deal. Old school, but it's cool. But this part is still alive and looks pretty good. I'm pretty sure it's apricot. So I've got a bunch of apricots in my other place, and that definitely looks like apricot. What's this guy in the middle? That could be a pear, yeah. That's a pear, because I have a pear just like that. See, there's one right there. Except for my pear is so tall, I cannot get any of the pears out, because it's literally like 4 stories up. And plus, they're just not very good. These may or may not be edible, but there's definitely pears up there, and that is a pear tree. Confirmed. Okay, here's another one of these deals. Maybe that's the pump or something for the water feature. I don't know. That typically would stay, just so you know. Unless they exclude it, which I don't see any exclusions. And then they've got this hammock deal here that may or may not stay. Overall, this is a great place. I give it a 10 out of 10. Top on my list. I feel like it's priced well for what you get compared to everything else that I've looked at for you guys lately. This is really, it just has all the boxes checked. So thanks for watching. Bueno, bye. All right, just take us out of the neighborhood here. Again, it's a little unusual in this little barrio area here. A lot of times you get on these streets that are so narrow, you can barely have one car drive by. But this one is actually pretty nice. And again, residents on both sides. That's Barela. So that one's skinny. Can't park anywhere on that street. And I think this is Maynard up here. Look at that cute little bungalow right there. That's so cool. And I think I was just down the street. Yeah, right? Yep, I was right down there the other day for the Maynard Street one. That's a dead end right there. I think that house is still for sale. And then back over here to Alto. And then, you know, if you were going downtown, obviously you'd be going the other way than I went. But just to give you some perspective on how close it is to town, you would just walk back over to, what's it called? It'll come to me in a minute when I drive past it. Right, there's the place down there that they're doing the 5 deal. There's Barela on this side, also very skinny. This is Alto, which is a little bit skinny, and sometimes really skinny. So here's Closson, okay? So you would walk out of the front door, head over to Closson, come down this one block, and then you could keep going on Alto. Actually, you have to keep going on Alto because there's no bridge to get across the river there. And so you just take Alto Street up to where the church is. In just a minute. This is the part where it gets really skinny. It's like one lane, essentially. And this guy's like parked half out in the street. Wild. But there are sidewalks. They're skinny, so you can walk it. It's doable. And then literally the river is right there. There's not really a river trail except for on the other side there, and then there's a sidewalk. And then there's the church, and here is the DeForest Street bridge, which is all new, by the way. That was something that I was just reading about that the other day. Like, it took them so long to do that. It was like a 30-year project. But they did eventually do it. They started talking about it back in the mid-'80s, I think, and it was like the early 2000s when they started to do it and actually finished it. There's Mile right there. I've shown you all this. This is all, you know, seen before. Here's Guadalupe Street, which is done now supposedly, but here we are. There's a guy walking down the street with a vest on. There's like orange cones everywhere, but they did paint everything, so it's definitely looking more finished now. Believe it or not, finished. Here, I'll just show you real quick. Yeah, look at all those stripy stripes. Liney lines. Turn here, turn there. Follow the directions. All right, good enough for now. I'm a little out of breath.